The hidden stowaway Captain Marcus Kane pressed his back against the cold metal wall of the Zephyrian cargo hold, his heart hammering like a broken engine. The alien ship hummed with an otherworldly rhythm that made his teeth ache. 3 days. He'd been hiding in this cramped maintenance shaft, surviving on emergency rations and recycled water from his damaged escape pod. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor outside. Zephyrian soldiers, their boots creating that distinctive metallic ring against the deck plating. Marcus held his breath, counting the seconds until they passed. The war between humanity and the Zephyrian Empire had been raging for 2 years, and being caught on an enemy vessel meant certain death. A soft hiss made him freeze. The access panel beside him slid open, revealing a figure in a dark tactical suit. Before Marcus could react, a gloved hand clamped firmly over his mouth. His eyes widened as he found himself staring into the face of a human woman, her short auburn hair framing determined green eyes. "Don't make a sound," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "They can't know you're here." Marcus tried to speak, but her grip remained firm. She pressed a finger to her lips, then pointed toward the corridor where the patrol was approaching. The woman's uniform bore insignia he didn't recognize, but her movements spoke of military training. She was compact and athletic, with the kind of confidence that came from surviving impossible situations. The patrol stopped directly outside their hiding spot. Marcus could hear them speaking in the clicking musical language of the Zephyrians. One of them seemed to be examining something, his voice rising in what sounded like curiosity or suspicion. The woman beside him remained perfectly still, her breathing controlled and silent. Marcus noticed a small scar running along her jawline and realized she'd been in combat before. Her eyes never left the corridor entrance, calculating distances and angles like a predator waiting to strike. Minutes stretched into eternity before the patrol finally moved on. The woman waited until their footsteps faded completely before removing her hand from Marcus's mouth. He gasped quietly, tasting the metallic tang of adrenaline. "Who are you?" he whispered. She smiled grimly. "Lieutenant Zoe Mitchell, Human Intelligence, Corps. And you, Captain Kane, are supposed to be dead." Marcus stared at her. "How do you know my name?" "Because," she said, checking a small device on her wrist, "I've been looking for you for 3 days. Your escape pod's distress beacon led me here, but it also alerted half the Zephyrian fleet. We need to move now." She began gathering equipment from hidden compartments within the maintenance shaft. Marcus watched in amazement as she produced weapons, tools, and supplies that shouldn't have fit in such a small space. Zoe caught his expression and grinned. "Human ingenuity, Captain. We make do with what we have, and we make it count." The unlikely alliance, Zoe Mitchell moved through the alien corridors with the fluid grace of someone who had spent months studying Zephyrian ship layouts. Marcus followed close behind, marveling at how she seemed to anticipate every patrol route and security checkpoint. Her knowledge of the enemy vessel was unnervingly thorough. "How long have you been on this ship?" Marcus whispered as they crouched, behind a massive power conduit. 6 weeks, Zoe replied, checking her scanner. "I volunteered for deep reconnaissance when Intel learned the Zephyrians were developing a new weapon. What I found was bigger than anyone imagined." She led him through a service tunnel that reeked of ozone and alien chemicals. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent veins that provided the only light. Marcus had to fight down his claustrophobia as they crawled through spaces barely wide enough for human shoulders. "The Zephyrians aren't just building a weapon," Zoe continued, her voice echoing strangely in the confined space. "They're planning to end the war in one decisive strike, something called the Convergence Protocol." They emerged into an observation deck that offered a stunning view of space. Through the transparent aluminum viewport, Marcus could see the rest of the Zephyrian fleet. Hundreds of ships stretching to the horizon, their hulls gleaming like black pearls against the stars. "Sweet Mother of Earth," Marcus breathed. "That's the entire 7th Fleet." Zoe nodded grimly. and they're all heading for Terra Prime. Our intelligence suggests they'll arrive in 72 hours. Marcus felt his blood turn to ice. Terra Prime was humanity's most heavily defended world, home to over 2 billion people. If the Zephyrians had developed a weapon capable of breaking through those defenses, the war was over. "There's something else," Zoe said, pulling out a data tablet. "I've been monitoring their communications. The Zephyrians have a human working with them, someone with access to our defense codes." The betrayal hit Marcus like a physical blow. Bad enough that humanity was outgunned and outnumbered, but to have one of their own turn against them was almost too much to bear. "Who?" he asked. "I don't know yet. The communications are heavily encrypted, but I've been working on breaking the code. That's why I need your help, Captain. Your background in cryptography could be the key to cracking their system." Marcus studied the alien text scrolling across her screen. The Zephyrian writing system was notoriously complex, combining mathematical concepts with emotional resonances that made translation nearly impossible for most humans. "I'll need access to their main computer core," he said finally. "And probably a few hours of uninterrupted work." Zoe smiled, and for the first time since they'd met, it reached her eyes. "I was hoping you'd say that, because I know exactly how to get us there." She activated a holographic display showing the ship's layout. A pulsing red dot marked their current position, while a blue dot indicated their destination deep in the vessel's heart. "The computer core is heavily guarded, but there's a maintenance shaft that runs directly beneath it. If we can access the core from below, we might be able to tap into their systems without triggering security alerts." Marcus studied the route, noting the numerous obstacles and potential points of failure. It was dangerous, possibly suicidal, but it was also their only chance to warn Earth about the coming assault. Dangerous discoveries. The maintenance shaft beneath the computer core was a maze of pipes, cables, and conduits that pulsed with alien energy. Marcus worked carefully with his improvised tools, trying to tap into the Zephyrian data streams without triggering any security protocols. Sweat dripped from his forehead despite the cool air recycling through the cramped space. Zoe kept watch through a small periscope device, monitoring the corridor above for any signs of patrol activity. Her body was tense, ready to signal for an immediate withdrawal if necessary. "Got something?" Marcus whispered, his voice tight with concentration. Data began flowing across his handheld display, streams of alien text mixed with what looked like technical specifications. "The convergence protocol," he breathed. "It's not a weapon, Zoe. It's something much worse." She glanced back at him, her eyes reflecting the green glow of the display. "What do you mean?" Marcus's hands trembled as he scrolled through the data. "They're not planning to destroy Terra Prime. They want to convert it. This protocol, it's some kind of terraforming process that will transform the entire planet into a Zephyrian world." The implications hit them both simultaneously. Not just death, but the complete obliteration of human civilization. Every city, every forest, every ocean would be transformed into alien landscape. The billions of people on Terra Prime wouldn't just die. They would cease to exist entirely. "How long do we have?" Zoe asked. "According to this, the process begins in 48 hours. Once it starts, it's irreversible." Marcus continued downloading the data, his mind racing through possible countermeasures. But there's something else. The protocol requires precise coordination between all the ships in the fleet. If even one vessel is out of sync, the entire process collapses. Zoe's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. "We don't need to destroy the fleet. We just need to disrupt their coordination." "Exactly. But it won't be easy. The synchronization is controlled by the flagship's main computer, and that's protected by multiple layers of security." A soft chime from Zoe's periscope made them both freeze. She peered through the device, then quickly gestured for silence. Above them, they could hear voices speaking in rapid Zephyrian. The tone was urgent, almost panicked. "They know something's wrong," Zoe whispered. "We need to move now." Marcus quickly finished downloading the critical data while Zoe prepared their exit route. The alien voices grew louder, more agitated. Whatever they had discovered, it was serious enough to mobilize additional security forces. "Done," Marcus said, pocketing the device. "I've got everything we need." They began their careful retreat through the maintenance shaft, but the sound of cutting tools echoed from multiple directions. The Zephyrians were systematically searching every possible hiding place, closing off their escape routes one by one. "This way," Zoe said, leading him toward what looked like a dead end. She pressed her hand against a seemingly solid wall panel, and it slid aside to reveal another passage. "Emergency route I discovered during my reconnaissance." They crawled through the narrow space as the sounds of the search grew closer. Marcus could hear the alien voices becoming more excited, more urgent. They were definitely on the right track. The passage opened into a small chamber lined with what looked like biological components. The walls pulsed with a slow, rhythmic beat that reminded Marcus uncomfortably of a heartbeat. "Where are we?" he asked. "Somewhere that's not on any schematic," Zoe replied. "I think this might be part of the ship's biological systems. The Zephyrians use living components in their technology." Marcus studied the pulsing walls with growing unease. If this was indeed a biological system, then they were essentially hiding inside the ship's body race against time. The biological chamber pulsed around them with an alien rhythm that made Marcus's skin crawl. Zoe checked her chronometer, her face grim in the phosphorescent light emanating from the living walls. 36 hours until the convergence protocol activates," she said. "We need to get this information to Terra Prime, but first we have to find a way off this ship." Marcus examined the strange biomechanical interfaces surrounding them. "These look like neural connectors. If the Zephyrians really do integrate living components into their technology, then this might be some kind of central nervous system for the ship." "Are you thinking what I think you're thinking?" Zoe asked, recognizing the calculating look in his eyes. "If we can interface with the ship's biological systems, we might be able to disrupt more than just the convergence protocol. We could potentially take control of this vessel." It was an audacious plan, bordering on insane. Attempting to mentally interface with an alien biological system could result in brain damage, death, or worse. But with billions of lives hanging in the balance, desperate measures seemed justified. Zoe studied the neural connectors with growing interest. "My intelligence training included basic xenobiology. These interfaces are designed to work with Zephyrian brain patterns, but human neural activity operates on similar frequencies. It might be possible." The sound of cutting tools grew louder outside their hiding place. Their pursuers were getting closer, systematically eliminating possible escape routes. Soon they would have no choice but to fight their way out, and the odds of survival were virtually zero. "Do it," Marcus said. "If we can take control of this ship, we can use it to disrupt the fleet's coordination and buy Terra Prime more time." Zoe approached the largest neural interface, a writhing mass of biomechanical tendrils that pulsed with soft blue light. She took a deep breath, then carefully placed her hands on the organic surface. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Her eyes rolled back, showing only whites, and her body convulsed as alien thoughts flooded her mind. Marcus watched in horror, as she seemed to struggle against some invisible force. "Zoe," he whispered urgently, afraid to speak louder but terrified of losing her to the alien system. Her body went rigid, then suddenly relaxed. When she opened her eyes, they held a strange, distant quality that made Marcus step back instinctively. "I can see everything," she said, her voice carrying an odd harmonic that hadn't been there before. "The entire fleet, all their communications, their battle plans. And Marcus, there's something else. The human traitor. I know who it is." "Who?" Marcus demanded. "Admiral Vincent Cross. He's been feeding the Zephyrians intelligence for months, helping them plan the perfect strike against Terra Prime. But he doesn't know about the convergence protocol. They're planning to betray him too. The neural interface pulsed brighter, and Zoe's expression became more alien. Marcus realized with growing alarm that the connection was changing her, possibly permanently. "Can you disrupt their coordination from here?" he asked. "Yes, but not without consequences. The ship's biological systems are fighting the intrusion. If I push too hard, the feedback could kill me." Marcus grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Zoe, you're losing yourself to that thing. You need to disconnect before it's too late." She looked at him with an expression that was no longer entirely human. "Too late for what, Marcus? To save myself while billions die? I've seen what the convergence protocol will do to Terra Prime. Every living thing transformed, absorbed into their collective consciousness. I won't let that happen." The cutting sounds outside grew urgent. Their hunters had found the chamber's entrance and were working to break through. In minutes, they would be discovered and captured. "Then we do this together," Marcus said, reaching for another neural interface. "If you're going to sacrifice yourself, I'm going with you." The ultimate sacrifice. The alien neural interface felt warm and strangely alive as Marcus pressed his palms against its pulsing surface. The moment of connection hit him like a lightning bolt, flooding his consciousness with alien thoughts and sensations that threatened to tear his sanity apart. Through the biomechanical link, he could perceive the entire Zephyrian fleet as a living organism. Each ship was a cell in a vast body, connected by streams of data and shared purpose. The convergence protocol wasn't just a weapon or terraforming tool. It was a form of reproduction, a way for the Zephyrian collective consciousness to spread across the galaxy. "Now you understand," Zoe's voice echoed strangely through the neural link. Her human thoughts were becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish from the alien patterns surrounding them. "They don't see us as enemies to be destroyed, but as raw material to be absorbed." Marcus fought to maintain his individual identity while navigating the alien data streams. The sheer scope of the Zephyrian plan was staggering. Terra Prime was only the beginning. They intended to convert every human world, every trace of human civilization. The coordination signal. He managed to think through the link. "If we can disrupt it now, while the fleet is still in formation, it will require everything we have," Zoe responded. "The ship's biological systems will fight back. The neural feedback could burn out our minds completely." Through the ship's sensors, Marcus could see the cutting tools breaking through the chamber's entrance. Zephyrian soldiers would be inside within minutes. There was no more time for hesitation. "Do it," he decided. "Better to die human than live as something else." Together, they reached deep into the ship's neural network, seeking the coordination protocols that kept the fleet synchronized. The alien consciousness pushed back, recognizing the threat they represented. Pain lanced through Marcus's skull as conflicting thought patterns warred in his mind. Zoe's scream echoed through both the neural link and the physical chamber. Blood trickled from her nose as she fought to maintain control. "Found it!" she gasped. "The master synchronization code. But Marcus, if we destroy this, the ship will die, and us with it." The chamber's entrance finally gave way, and Zephyrian soldiers poured through the opening. Their weapons were raised, but they hesitated when they saw the two humans connected to their ship's biological systems. "They're afraid," Marcus realized. "They know what we can do." One of the soldiers, apparently an officer, began speaking rapidly in the clicking Zephyrian language. Even without understanding the words, Marcus could sense the desperation in the alien's voice. "He's ordering us to disconnect," Zoe translated, her consciousness still partially merged with the ship's systems. "They're offering to negotiate, to let us go if we don't disrupt the protocol, and let them transform billions of innocent people." Marcus shook his head. "Never." He reached deeper into the neural network, ignoring the searing pain as alien Thoughts tried to overwhelm his human consciousness. The synchronization code was there, a complex pattern of mathematical relationships that kept the entire fleet operating as one unit. Together, he told Zoe. On three. 1, 2. Wait, Zoe interrupted. Marcus, there's another way. If we can reprogram the synchronization instead of destroying it, we can turn their own fleet against them. Through the neural link, she showed him her plan. Instead of disrupting the convergence protocol, they could redirect it, turn the terraforming process inward, causing it to affect the Zephyrian ships themselves. It was brilliant, poetic, and utterly ruthless. The same technology they planned to use on humanity would instead consume their own fleet. Do it, Marcus agreed. Working together through the biomechanical interface, they began rewriting the fundamental code that governed the convergence protocol. The ship's biological systems fought back desperately, but human creativity and determination proved stronger than alien programming. The Zephyrian officer was shouting now, raising his weapon. But it was too late. The new programming spread through the fleet's network like a virus, turning their ultimate weapon into their own destruction. As the neural feedback reached critical levels, Marcus felt his consciousness beginning to fragment. But through the pain and chaos, he could sense something else. The gratitude of 2 billion humans on Terra Prime who would live to see another day. Zoe's hand found his in the physical world, squeezing tight. Did we win? She whispered. Through the ship's sensors, Marcus watched as the first Zephyrian vessels began to transform, their hulls rippling and changing as the redirected protocol took effect. Yeah, he said, smiling despite the pain. We won. The neural interfaces pulsed once more, then went dark. In the sudden silence, Marcus and Zoe collapsed to the chamber floor, their mission complete. The last thing Marcus saw before unconsciousness claimed him was the view through the chamber's small port. Outside, the Zephyrian fleet was dissolving into streams of light, their own technology consuming them as surely as they had planned to consume humanity. Sometimes, he thought as darkness closed in, the best defense was simply refusing to give up. Even when facing impossible odds, humans had one advantage that no alien technology could replicate: the stubborn determination to survive at any cost.